As Ace's smart lock beeped softly, he was aiming at his target from a sniping position 3 kilometers away. His assistant's panicked voice came through the earpiece, "Boss. Your door lock has been hacked. The system shows a 4-year-old girl went in?" Ace's trigger finger paused. "Explain yourself." Just one kid, carrying a rabbit backpack, sitting on your sofa eating ice cream right now." Through the scope, Asa saw the target wiping away sweat. He calmly pulled the trigger, the bullet piercing the file folder in the target's hand, the chip he was supposed to retrieve that night. He ignored it for now, put away his gun, stood up, and told the logistics team to handle it. 5 minutes later, the logistics team sent a photo. A little girl was playing a game on his top-of-the-line computer, with his treasured empty bottle of 1982 Lafite lying at her feet. The caption below the photo reads, "Boss, she just ordered 100 strawberry ice creams using your account." The recipient is listed as Ace's daddy. Ace's temples throbbed. As she unlocked the door with her fingerprint, the aroma of caramel popcorn wafted into the house. "Daddy's home." A little girl rushed at him like a cannonball and hugged his leg. She looked up, her big eyes blinking, her cheeks still puffed out with unswallowed candy. Asa nudged her away with his toe. "Who sent you?" The little girl held up her children's smartwatch, the screen displaying a perfect daddy ranking report. Asa's photo was at the top of the list, labeled, "Advantages, rich, good-looking, has Wi-Fi at home. Disadvantages, too fierce, suggests smiling more." Asa grabbed her by the back of her collar. "I'll ask you one last time, who gave you permission to hack into my house?" "Daddy's so stupid," the little girl dangled her toes. "Your firewall algorithm is almost identical to the one used in orphanage computer classes." She suddenly pulled out a small USB drive and inserted it into the alarm in Ace's pocket. Suddenly, a cheerful children's song rang out in the whole room. "Daddy's daddy is called Grandpa." The logistics team was trying so hard not to laugh through their headphones that they were suffocating. Asa yanked the USB drive out, grabbed the little girl, and dragged her into the study, locking the door behind him. An infrared scanner descended from the ceiling, scanning the little girl's entire body. "Wow. This model is X379, right?" The little girl excitedly raised her hand. "Upgrading the firmware can detect lies." "Want me to teach you?" The scanner beeped twice, and the display showed the results: name, Fanny, age, 4 years and 3 months, threat level, 0. Note, the target believes you are her biological father. Asa stared at the last line of text, her pupils contracting sharply. "My name is Fanny. The little girl is sitting on the counter, swinging her legs. Mommy says Daddy is dead, but the headmistress teaches us about DNA matching." She pulled a crumpled piece of paper from her rabbit-shaped backpack. Asa unfolded it and saw it was a report from a paternity testing center, showing that he and Fanny were 99.99% related. "Who's your mom?" "Janice," Fanny replied, licking her lollipop. "But she dumped me at the amusement park last month, saying she'd rather have a dog than me." Asa quickly searched his memory. The female informant who had deliberately drugged his drink during the Paris mission 4 years ago did indeed seem to be named Jay. "Daddy." Fanny suddenly jumped down and grabbed his finger. "I'm easy to take care of. All I need is 3 ice creams a day, 2 episodes of cartoons, and..." She counted to 10 on her fingers, then her eyes lit up. "That's right. I can fix things." With that, she ran to the corner of the study, quickly disassembled Ace's encrypted communicator that had been broken for a week, and twisted it with a hairpin. "It's fixed." Suddenly, a scream came from the logistics team through the communicator. "Boss. We've been out of contact with the African branch for 3 days. We just got a message from them saying thank you for your daughter repairing the equipment." Asa looked down at Fanny. Fanny tilted her head and smiled, revealing a hole in her missing front tooth. "Daddy, are you going to kill me? I'll help you write the code." At 3 in the morning, Asa stood at the door of the children's room. Fanny was sprawled out on the custom-made bulletproof bed, clutching the tweezers he used to defuse bombs as a toy, his pillow smeared with drool. The logistics team sent an investigation report. Janice did indeed give birth to a child 4 years ago, but last month, due to gambling debts, she abandoned her daughter Fanny and hacked into the municipal system to find herself a guardian. You are the 10,086th candidate. Asa rubbed her temples as she returned to the master bedroom. As soon as she lay down, she felt something sticky in the blankets, a lump of melted strawberry ice cream, with a note underneath, "Good night, Daddy. This is a little gift." A muffled thud suddenly came from next door. Asa rushed over, and Fanny was standing on tiptoe, reaching for a metal box on the top shelf. "What are you looking for?" he asked coldly. Fanny jumped in fright, and the box crashed to the ground, scattering more than a dozen guns on the floor. The air froze. Fanny crouched down and picked up a pink toy gun. "Daddy, your toy gun's paint's fading, let me paint it back on for you." Asa grabbed her, but Fanny excitedly pointed to a hidden door on the wall. "Escape room." "Daddy, shall we play too?" Through the hidden door, his full set of secret agent gear was on full display. "Fanny," Asa called her for the first time, "people who see this usually don't survive, I understand." Fanny suddenly covered her eyes. "Daddy's Santa Claus. He's the one who delivers bullets to bad kids, isn't he?" She skipped and hopped out, then suddenly turned back and winked. "Don't worry." At the breakfast table, Asa pushed the milk towards Fanny. "We're taking you to the orphanage today. Don't let Fanny shape the toast into a rabbit shape. Daddy's bed is bulletproof, the orphanage's bed will be hit by a meteorite. And Daddy needs me." So she took out her children's watch and pressed a button. Asa's phone immediately sounded an alarm. "Warning. Someone is cracking the armory password." The surveillance footage shows a man wearing a baseball cap breaking into a secret room in his study. "See? I told you Daddy can't be without me." Fanny swings his leg. "Should we call the police? I can impersonate 110. Asa silently withdrew the orphanage application form. 10 minutes later, the man in the baseball cap was knocked down with a stun gun. Fanny squatted down next to him and poked his face. "Daddy, this uncle is so bad, he actually tried 123,456 as his password." Asa suddenly asked, "How did you find out about him?" "Because he was following me at the amusement park yesterday," Fanny said innocently. "So I sent him a baby food recipe using Daddy's account, and sure enough, he got so angry that he came to my door." Asa's temples started throbbing again. The logistics team sent a message. "Found them. This is someone sent by Janice's creditors. P.S. Fanny just placed a bounty on the black market in your name. Capture Janice and get a year's worth of free diapers." Fanny suddenly tugged at Asa's sleeve. "Daddy, can I have a dog? A big one?" "No." "Then can I go to school? Like, a school that teaches hacking?" "No." Fanny sighed. "Then Daddy can play with building blocks with me, okay?" She dumped out a Lego box full of gun parts. Asa stared at the half-finished miniature missile launcher and finally broke down. "Fanny, where did you get this?" Fanny innocently pointed to the ceiling. "There's a Santa Claus treasure chest in the ventilation duct." At 4 o'clock in the morning, a strange beeping sound came from Asa's study. When Fanny rubbed her eyes and pushed open the door, she saw her newly minted daddy frowning at the wall of monitors, which were flashing red warnings. "Mission target lost." She sidled up to him, clutching her bunny plushie, and asked, "Are you playing hide-and-seek?" Asa slammed her laptop shut. "Go back to sleep." But Fanny smelled blood. She tiptoed to reach Asa's arm. "Is Daddy hurt?" Asa quickly put her right hand behind her back. There was indeed a fresh knife wound there. Fanny suddenly turned around, dragged a first aid kit from the bottom of the bookshelf, and then moved a small stool to stand on. "Daddy, reach out." Asa squinted. "How did you know the first aid kit was there?" "Because all secret agents hide their medicine chests in the third drawer of their studies." Fanny tilted her head, just like in the 007 movies. She skillfully disinfected the wound and put on a Hello Kitty bandage. Asa stared at the pink cat head and suddenly asked, "Did your mom teach you these things?" "Mommy only taught me how to dodge creditors." Fanny tied a crooked bow. "She learned how to bandage it from watching Peppa Pig." The logistics team's communicator suddenly rang. "Boss. The target has appeared at the dock and is in the middle of a transaction. Asa got up to leave, but Fanny grabbed her trouser leg. Daddy, take me. Her eyes lit up like stars. I promise it's better than a drone. 5 minutes later, a child safety seat appeared in Asa's black SUV, one that Fanny had bought online, and which even had bulletproof features. At the dock's container area, Asa locked the sleeping Fanny inside the car and slipped into the shadows. The logistics team is reporting in real time through the headset. The target is in Warehouse 7, the buyer brought 12 bodyguards. Wait. Boss, the vital signs in your car are moving. Asa whirled around and saw Fanny somehow climbed onto the roof of the car, peering around with his night vision binoculars. Worse, a patrolling bodyguard was walking towards the car. Go back. Asa growled into his hidden earpiece. Fanny heard it. She blinked, then suddenly held up the children's watch and pointed it at the bodyguard. Beep beep, the watch emitted a clear, childlike voice during the temperature check. Uncle, you have a fever. 38.2 degrees. As the bodyguard froze, Fanny pressed another button. The car stereo suddenly blared at full volume. Dad's dad calls Grandpa, and everyone at the dock turned to look at the source of the sound. Asa sneaked into Warehouse 7, only to bump into the two parties involved in the transaction at the corner. Who were they? The moment the gun fired, all the warehouse lights went out. From the darkness came Fanny's voice, Daddy. There's a trash can at 9 o'clock. Asa rolled into cover, and the next second, the spot where he had been standing was riddled with bullets. What? The car's GPS has thermal imaging? Fanny's voice came through the earpiece, Daddy, run. They're lying in ambush at your 2 o'clock position. Asa attempted to break through the enemy lines following the route she was given, but was blocked at the exit. At the critical moment, a buzzing sound suddenly came from the sky, and 3 small drones carrying rainbow pony balloons swooped down, spraying pepper spray at the enemy. The little girl in Fanny's specially made pepper spray earpiece was beaming with pride. Daddy, get in the car. Asa rushed back to the car. Fanny had already fastened his seatbelt and was using his computer to check the surveillance footage. Daddy, that bald uncle ran east. The SUV roared off, and Asa finally couldn't help but ask, where did the drone come from? I bought it with Daddy's credit card. Fanny swung her leg. The seller said it's the latest model and can hold 5 pounds of explosives. Asa slammed on the brakes. How much? Just kidding. Fanny giggled, it's only good for hanging balloons. Early in the morning, as Asa was washing away the blood in the bathroom, a loud bang suddenly came from the living room. He rushed out wrapped in a towel and saw Fanny standing on the dining table, holding a sizzling frying pan. Daddy. I made you some heart-shaped eggs. A charred, unidentified object was wriggling in the pot. Asa silently picked up the fire extinguisher. Breakfast was ultimately taken out. Fanny, munching on a steamed bun, asked, Daddy, can you take me to the company today? No. Why not? My employees don't know I have Asa, kid. Fanny's eyes suddenly lit up. How about I surprise them? No. How about Daddy come with me to the amusement park? No time. Fanny sighed, resting her chin on her hand. Daddy. Asa, the final compromise is, Fanny can come to the company, but she must pretend to be the child of a partner's representative. In the lobby of Lou's technology building, the employees stared in disbelief as the CEO led a little girl with Neza-style hair buns. Fanny was wearing a custom-made mini-suit with a special consultant badge pinned to her chest, which she had made herself using a printer. Hello everyone, she winked at the receptionist. I'm Fanny, here to audit the financial system. The CFO's legs went weak. Asa, this isn't compliant. She was joking. Asa picked Fanny up and headed for the elevator. There's a board meeting today. You'd better stay put. Daddy. Fanny suddenly pointed at the elevator monitor screen. That uncle is spying on your iris data. Everyone turned their heads at once. The cleaner was holding special glasses and pointing them at the elevator iris lock. As security swarmed in, Fanny whispered, Actually, I was just guessing. He looks like Asa from the movies. Facepalm. Midway through the board meeting, Fanny secretly logged onto the company intranet. The big screen suddenly switched to a daddy satisfaction survey. Mr. Asa's performance today. B deductions. Did not buy ice cream. Forgot to say good morning. Suggestion. Smile more. See the picture below. The picture is a photo of Asa that has been photoshopped to make him grin wide open, with his teeth sparkling with starlight effects. The board members were barely holding back their laughter. Asa, his face dark, picked up the troublemaker, and Fanny suddenly leaned close to his ear. Daddy, the police will be here to arrest you in 37 seconds. What? I just found out that the cleaning worker is a corporate spy, and his boss called the police saying you illegally detained him. Sure enough, police sirens sounded downstairs. Fanny pulled out her children's smartwatch. Should I hack into the police system now? No need. Asa pressed the internal line. Legal department, handle this. He looked down at Fanny in his arms. How did you find out? Because Daddy's computer has anti-tracking software. Fanny shook her head smugly. I also gave that scoundrel boss a little gift. Meanwhile, in a commercial building, a bald man screamed as his computer screen suddenly went blue, displaying large pink text. The police are on their way. On the way home in the evening, Fanny leaned against the car window, looking at the neon lights. Daddy, she suddenly asked, don't secret agents have families? Asa's grip on the steering wheel tightened. That's how it's always portrayed in movies. Fanny turned around, her little face unusually devoid of a smile. Will you suddenly leave me one day? The red light turned on, and the car stopped. Asa reached out and ruffled the fluffy head. No. Really? Asa, true to her word, glanced at the suspicious vehicle following them in the rearview mirror. Fanny's eyes lit up, and she suddenly rolled down the window, shouting back, Hey, you guys following us? My dad said he'd treat you to ice cream. The car behind braked suddenly and almost rear-ended her. Asa, Fanny stuck out her tongue, I saw pepper spray bombs in the back seat, and I wanted to help Daddy test their power. Asa quietly moved the pepper spray bombs to the passenger side glove compartment. Actually, they were a new car air freshener given to her by the logistics team. Late at night, after checking all the security systems, Asa noticed a light still on under Fanny's bedroom door. Pushing the door open, she saw the little girl sitting on the carpet, a dozen or so sheets of paper spread out in front of her. What was she drawing? A new weapon designed for Daddy. Fanny holds up a drawing covered in rainbows. This grenade explodes and sprays rainbow candy. This sniper rifle can fire lollipops at Daddy? Asa crouched down and picked up a piece of paper that had been tucked under the pile. It was a crayon drawing, a tall man holding a little girl's hand, with cotton candy clouds floating in the sky. The inscription in the corner read, My first mission with Daddy. Fanny. Asa puts away the blueprints. I'll start teaching you martial arts tomorrow. Really? But there's a condition. Asa points to the bed. Now, go to sleep. Fanny cheered and jumped into bed, then suddenly popped out again. Good night, Daddy. She gave Asa a quick kiss on the cheek, then pulled the blanket over her head. Asa froze. 5 minutes later, he quietly closed the door and said into his headset, Logistics team, check all of Janice's creditors. Is the boss about to make a move? Yeah. Asa looked out the window at the neon lights and started cleaning up the trash. Asa had just finished her morning meeting when her assistant rushed over. Asa, there's a lady downstairs with a reporter. She says she's the mother of your child. On the monitor screen, Janice, wearing a white dress, was wiping away tears in front of the camera. I'd been looking for my daughter for 3 months, only to find out Asa was hiding her. Asa pressed the communicator. Logistics team, prepare. Daddy. Fanny suddenly popped out from under the table, holding a half-eaten cookie. Is Mommy here? Asa frowned. How did you get in? Fanny patted the dust off her skirt. Daddy, can I go see Mommy? No. Just for a second. Fanny clasped her hands together. I promise I won't reveal Daddy's secret. Before Asa could answer, the office door was flung open, and Janice rushed in, followed by reporters with cameras. "Fanny! Mommy missed you so much." She threw herself into his arms. Fanny darted behind Asa, only peeking out half her head. "Mommy, do you think raising a dog would be better than raising me?" All the reporters' cameras immediately turned to Janice. Janice's face stiffened, then she cried even harder. "The child has been brainwashed." "Asa, why did you teach the child to say such things?" Before Asa could speak, Fanny suddenly pressed his watch. "Raising you is worse than raising a dog. If you don't pay back the money next month, I'll sell that brat." Janice's own voice came through the watch, clear and piercing. The reporters gasped. Fanny tilted her head. "Mommy, this is what you said on the phone at the amusement park last month. I recorded it to listen to as a bedtime story." Janice lunged forward to grab the watch, but Asa grabbed her wrist. "Janice, child abandonment can get you 5 years. You're lying. I have custody." Janice flung a piece of paper from her bag. "Look. A court judgment." Fanny tiptoed to take a look. "Daddy, this chapter is photoshopped, there are even pixels on the edges." Asa raised an eyebrow. "How did you know?" "Because I helped the logistics team fix a fake document last week." Fanny pulled out her children's tablet. "Mommy, do you want to see the original file? You have it saved on your computer." Janice's computer desktop was displayed on the screen, with the forged judgment PSD file prominently displayed. Janice's face was ashen. As the reporters frantically took photos, Fanny suddenly tugged at Asa's sleeve. "Daddy, 9 o'clock." A man wearing a baseball cap was quietly moving towards the elevator. "Logistics team," Asa whispered, "intercept the target in the gray jacket." "No need." Fanny pressed the button on the tablet, and suddenly a cheerful children's voice rang out in the elevator. "Elevator malfunction. Passengers need to dance to restore normal operation." The man in the baseball cap froze on the spot and was tackled by the security guard who arrived at the scene. As the reporters chased after him, Fanny whispered, "Daddy, he came to steal your computer data. I saw him scouting the place yesterday on the security camera." Asa patted her head. "Okay. Asa." The general counsel bursts in. "Something terrible has happened. Janice has leaked to the media that you illegally detained a child. Breaking news is playing on TV, and Janice is crying into the camera, 'My daughter is being controlled by Asa using hacking techniques, and now he won't even let me in the door.'" Fanny suddenly snatched the remote and switched to her self-developed children's channel. The screen immediately showed Janice gambling heavily at a casino, with the date in the upper right corner showing the 3 months she had been desperately searching for her daughter. "Oops, I accidentally pressed the wrong button." Fanny sticks out her tongue. "Is this Mommy's travel vlog?" Asa smiles slightly. "Legal department, sue Janice for defamation and abandonment." "Wait." Janice suddenly screamed. "Asa. Do you think the adoption process is legal? Without the biological mother's signature, you need to sign?" Asa took a document from the safe. "The paternity test showed that I was her biological father." Janice's face turned pale. "Impossible. That night, you clearly drugged my teammate." Asa said coldly, "I noticed the anomaly on the surveillance footage." Fanny's eyes widened. "So Daddy really is my biological father?" "Yes." Fanny suddenly pounced on Asa and hugged his leg. "Great. We don't need a new daddy." After the commotion subsided, Asa held a video conference in his study. The target had been identified. The operation would take place tomorrow night at 11 p.m. He told the special operations team on the screen that they had to get the chip this time. "Daddy." Fanny stood at the door, clutching a pillow. "I had a nightmare." Asa quickly switched screens. "Go back to sleep. I want Daddy to tell me a story." The support team, trying not to laugh, said through their earpieces, "Boss, how about Snow White?" Asa picked up Fanny with a dark expression, but then heard her whisper, "Daddy, is the chip you mentioned hidden in that bald uncle's watch?" Asa's hand trembled. "How did you know?" "Because I saw it on his home security camera." Fanny pulled a USB drive out of his pajama pocket. He checks his watch every day at 11:15 p.m. The password is his daughter's birthday. Asa stared at the USB drive. Did you hack into the target's house? Fanny, who had logged in using Daddy's privileges, said smugly, I also sent his daughter an invitation to the show. Where are we going, Dad? They shouldn't be home tomorrow night. The sound of the logistics team spraying water came through the earpiece. The following evening, as Asa was fully armed and ready to leave, she found the armory door open. Fanny was standing on tiptoe, tying a bow on a grenade. What are you doing? Mark Daddy's gear. Fanny holds up a smoke bomb with a pink ribbon tied to it, so the bad guys will know it's a gift from a kid. Asa. The operation went more smoothly than expected. The target had indeed been taken to the show by his daughter, leaving only 2 bodyguards at the villa. Asa sneaked into the bedroom and had just found the target's watch when she suddenly heard a commotion downstairs. Don't move. 3 armed thugs burst through the door. Just as Asa was about to retaliate, the thugs suddenly sneezed in unison, filling the air with pink powder. Achoo! What the hell? Fanny's voice came through the earpiece. Daddy, run. It's my special itching powder. The last thing Asa saw when she jumped out of the window was the thugs sneezing and scratching themselves frantically. On the way home, Asa looked at Fanny humming a lullaby in the passenger seat. How did you get here? The logistics team uncles took me on a helicopter ride. Fanny swung her legs and said, Daddy, wasn't I awesome? Absent off duty, 3 months' worth of ice cream deducted. Suddenly, Fanny pointed ahead. Daddy. There's a dog. A dirty stray dog darted across the road, and Asa slammed on the brakes. Fanny jumped out of the car and chased after it. Don't run, dog. I'll buy you meat. Asa was about to stop them when her pupils suddenly contracted. A miniature camera was hanging from the dog's neck. Fanny. Come back. It was too late. 4 men in black rushed out from the shadows, covered Fanny's mouth, and dragged her into the van. Daddy. The moment Asa drew her gun, the rear window of the van suddenly rolled down, revealing Janice's twisted face. Want a child? Trade me the chip. Asa's communicator exploded. Boss. We've tracked the van to an abandoned industrial area. Thermal imaging shows 5 adults inside, and Fanny is being held down in the back seat. Wait, Fanny's vital signs have suddenly disappeared? Asa jerked the steering wheel, and the SUV drifted into a narrow alley. He loosened his tie with one hand, his eyes surging with an unprecedented ferocity. Check the satellite live feed. The screen shifts, and a small head suddenly pops out of the van's back window. Fanny makes a peace sign at the camera, then disassembles the kidnapper's gun into parts. The support team falls silent for 3 seconds. Boss, should we still rescue him? Inside the abandoned chemical plant, Janice was yelling into the phone. Did you get the chip yet? Then, Aunt Fanny's voice came from behind her. You brat, you've got lipstick on your teeth. Janice turned around and saw that Fanny, who should have been tied to the pillar, was now sitting on the kidnapper's shoulder, braiding his hair with a hair clip. What are you all doing? Janice grabbed an iron bar and tied her up again. Boss, it's not that we don't want to tie her up, the kidnapper is crying. She poisoned us. Fanny waved the rainbow candy in her hand. It's a laxative, uncles. If you move again, you'll poop your pants. Janice lunged at him in a fit of rage, but Fanny suddenly pressed her watch. Beep beep. Temperature alarm. Auntie, are you fuming? The ceiling sprinklers activated, drenching Janice completely. When Asa burst through the door, this is what she saw. Fanny was standing on a container, holding a megaphone. Now we're going to have the first lesson in self-defense. The 5 kidnappers were kneeling in a row, clutching their groins, groaning in unison. Janice attacked from behind with a knife, but Fanny shouted without turning her head, Daddy. 45 degrees to the left. Asa raised her hand and fired a shot, the bullet grazing Janice's ear and knocking the knife out of her hand. Daddy's so handsome. Fanny cheered, but can I spank her next time? The teacher said slapping someone in the face is impolite. Asa, the sound of sirens grew louder. Janice suddenly burst into laughter. Asa. You think that's all? She pressed her phone. My boss is already on his way to your house. Asa's expression changed drastically. Her house contained the core database of the intelligence organization. Fanny, however, blinked. Daddy, don't be afraid, I have a surprise in store. Meanwhile, at Asa's villa, 5 fully armed mercenaries kicked open the armory door, only to be met by an automatically playing tablet. Welcome. On the screen, Fanny smiled and said, please watch the fireworks, uncles. Boom. Confetti rained down from the ceiling, and the chili powder hidden within made the mercenaries weep uncontrollably. Even more ingenious, all the weapon lockers automatically locked, displaying the password hint, Fanny's birthday. On the way back, Asa checked Fanny for the 3rd time to see if she was hurt. Daddy, Fanny suddenly leaned closer, your eyelashes are so long. You could fit 3 pencils in them. Asa pinched her cheek, you're not allowed to act on your own anymore. Okay, Fanny said, pulling out a rainbow candy and stuffing it into Asa's mouth. Daddy, have some candy. It's sweet. Asa instinctively put it in his mouth, when suddenly the support team burst into laughter through the earpiece. Boss. That's a locator. You have a signal source in your stomach now. Fanny covered her mouth and chuckled, while Asa rolled down the car window expressionlessly, spitting out a year's worth of ice cream. Her little hand immediately covered his mouth tightly. Asa stared at the message from her kindergarten teacher, her temples throbbing. Asa, please come to the school. Fanny's assignment, my dad, was a little unusual. In the classroom, 20 children surrounded Fanny's drawing, pointing and discussing it. In the drawing, Asa, dressed in a black tactical uniform, was aiming a sniper rifle at a handcuffed, bald man. Next to it was the caption, Daddy's work photo. Fanny, the teacher forced a smile. The police don't use this kind of gun because Daddy's a secret agent. Fanny shook his Nezza-like hair. He just caught 5 bad guys yesterday and even seized. Fanny. Asa appeared at the door, her voice colder than the Arctic wind. Fanny darted behind the teacher, Daddy. I signed you up for the parent career sharing session. On the way home, Fanny peered out the car window at the ice cream truck. Daddy, will I get an A on my homework? No. Then can you buy me ice cream to cheer me up? No. Fanny sighed, Daddy, you'll lose me if you do this. Asa slammed on the brakes. At the intersection ahead, 3 black SUVs stopped, surrounding him. Logistics team, he said, pressing his earpiece, ready to provide backup. Static filled the earphones, followed by an unfamiliar male voice, Asa, I've heard so much about you. I'm Professor, and I'd like to chat with your daughter. In the rearview mirror, Fanny was searching for the name on her children's smartwatch when her eyes suddenly widened, Daddy. He's the #1 hacker on the dark web. There was a knock on the car window, and a well-mannered middle-aged man bent down. Fanny, do you remember teacher programming cat? Fanny gasped. This was the judge of the online programming competition she had participated in last month. Asa was being held at gunpoint by 5 mercenaries, but the professor squatted down to look Fanny in the eye. The rainbow virus you left behind when you hacked into my system caused me to lose 80 million. That's because you tricked kids into writing malicious code. Fanny puffed out her cheeks, and Uncle Wong's daughter started crying. The professor suddenly reached out and grabbed her watch. You like hacking so much? Come with me, I'll let you play for real. No. Fanny clung tightly to Asa's leg. My daddy is 1,000,000 times better than you. The professor sneered, your daddy? He suddenly ripped open Asa's coat, revealing a hidden pistol. Check the news. Suddenly, the large screen on the wall displayed an emergency news report. Lou's group CEO suspected of being a secret agent. Police have launched an investigation. Fanny suddenly burst into tears. You're bullying Daddy. I'm going to tell the police. The professor impatiently tried to pull her away, and Fanny seized the opportunity to press a hidden button on her watch. Simultaneously, all the electronic screens in the block flashed, playing a video as evidence of the professor's child fraud. Grab her, the professor shouted angrily. Asa elbowed the nearest mercenary to the ground, seized his gun, and fired. Fanny. Run. Fanny didn't run. She darted into a roadside newsstand, her little hands flying across the keyboard. 3 seconds later, a child's voice rang from the professor's pocket, self-destruct program activated. What? The professor frantically pulled out his phone. Just kidding, Fanny peeked out from the newsstand, but I really did empty your Swiss account. Taking advantage of the professor's momentary daze, Asa shot his glasses off. Logistics team, close in. The special operations team, lying in ambush all around, sprang into action. In the chaos, the professor lunged at Fanny, bang. Asa shielded Fanny, a bloody flower blooming on her shoulder. Daddy. In the hospital corridor, Fanny sobbed, clutching a blood-stained rabbit doll. Asa needed rest. A nurse stopped her from entering the ward, asking, "Little one, could you go home first?" No. Fanny suddenly pulled out her badge. I'm a Special Operations Team Technical Advisor. I have authorization. The ID was homemade from candy wrappers, with 3 stars drawn on it and the most impressive stamp. Just as the nurse was wondering whether to laugh or cry, the ward door opened. Asa, pale-faced, leaned against the doorframe. Come in. Fanny rushed forward like a cannonball, but stopped abruptly before hitting him, her little hand trembling in the air. Daddy, does it hurt? Asa knelt down on one knee and hugged her for the first time. It doesn't hurt. Fanny burst into tears, her tears and snot smearing all over his hospital gown. I thought Daddy didn't want me anymore. No, Asa gently patted her back. Secret agent code number 2. A promise is a promise. Fanny replied, her voice trembling, then suddenly remembered something. Daddy. That scoundrel professor, he's been caught. Asa showed her the news on her phone. Thanks to you transferring his funds, his hideout was exposed. Fanny burst into laughter through her tears. Can I apply for the prize money? I want to buy Daddy a new bulletproof vest. A week later, on the day Asa's stitches were removed, Fanny mysteriously handed him a gift box. Daddy closed his eyes. Inside the box was a custom-made bulletproof vest, with world's #1 Daddy printed on the front and Fanny's signature design on the back. I bought it with my hacking competition winnings. Fanny's eyes sparkled. Does Daddy like it? Asa took a couple of steps, then suddenly pulled something from her pocket, a return gift. It was a small agent badge, engraved with Fanny's official number 001. Fanny screamed and jumped up, almost knocking over the 4 stand. I can really be a secret agent? Internship period. Asa pressed her head down. First rule, listen to Daddy. Fanny stood at attention and saluted, then added quietly, most of the time. 3 months later, Asa took Fanny to the amusement park to make up for their previous disappointment. On the roller coaster, Fanny excitedly pointed to a building. Daddy. Isn't that where we first met? Asa followed her finger and his pupils suddenly contracted. There was a reflection on the rooftop. He pulled Fanny into his arms and simultaneously pressed the alarm on his watch. Bang! A bullet shattered the seats in front of them, and the crowd screamed and panicked. Logistics team. Sniper at 9 o'clock. Asa, carrying Fanny, swooped down into the safety passage. Fanny struggled to peek out. Daddy, wait. That sniper is. At the end of the passage, Janice emerged, gun in hand. Asa, you think this is over? Behind her stood 3 masked men, each holding a detonator. My boss's gift. Janice grinned maliciously. The entire amusement park is bombed, unless you're a big idiot. Fanny suddenly shouted, Mommy, you didn't even take the safety off your gun. Janice instinctively looked down to check, and Asa struck like lightning, taking down all the enemies within 3 seconds. Fanny crouched down and poked the unconscious Janice. Daddy, Mommy's even weaker than the boss in the game. As the sun set, Asa carried Fanny out of the amusement park. Daddy, she yawned, perching on his shoulder, did I protect you today? Can I have 3 ice creams? No. Fanny pouted, then her eyes lit up. Daddy. That auntie is taking pictures of you. Asa turned around to see a girl holding a camera. Seeing him looking over, the girl blushed and asked, "Excuse me, are you Asa? And who is this?" Fanny immediately hugged Asa's neck and gave him a loud kiss on the cheek. "This is my daddy. My own daughter." Asa froze for a moment, then nodded under the girl's surprised gaze. "Yes, my daughter." Fanny froze, her eyes slowly reddening. "What?" Asa pinched her cheek. "Daddy acknowledged me in public for the first time." Fanny buried her face in his neck, her voice muffled. "I'm so happy." Asa tightened her grip on her hand and whispered, "I'll make you a strawberry cake when we get home." "Really?" Referring to secret agent rule number 3. Fanny smiled brightly. "I mean what I say."